Hello, listeners. Thanks for listening to the Leon LeGray podcast. We are on 126 of the podcast. Holy cow. It's been a long time since my last podcast, and there's so much to get onto on today's episode. So I will definitely be giving a brief description what's been happening to me since over a month, and there's a lot to say about it for sure. And it's been a while since my last recording back on July the 4th. And back then, I've been investing on my new machine for video games and for streaming content. And for the first time in 5 years, I came back doing this build. I'm very happy just getting around and putting in for a machine that I can use not just for gaming or streaming, but if I have to work from home, this is it right there too. This is it. I'm very very happy to get on board and catch up with tiles I haven't even caught up for 8 years or um or 9 years. It's been a long time. I want to catch up with old tiles I haven't even touched. So that's the reason why I decided to get on board and built this machine right here too. And sure, I missed a couple things like fans on the top, and then fans on the front fans, which I don't have the correct cables for it too. But either way, I pretty much have it complete, and I can still use it for recording. Which, hey, this is not bad. I am happy with the build, but either way, this build is pretty much near complete already, and I've actually tested out a couple games. But either way, I am very very satisfied with this build, and so there's a lot to talk about. And so today's episode for 126 on the podcast, I'll be reviewing the AMD Ryzen 370X. My gosh, so 370X, this processor, my god, is running so smooth, and I like it. The multitasking is great, and there's a lot to talk about. I will get into middle uh of the segment. So before we begin, I want to go ahead and give you a word of our sponsors. Now, coming from my sponsors, the first sponsor I wanted to go ahead and mention is Virtual Shield. Virtual Shield I've used in the past before. This right here you can use for your desktop, laptop, mobile phone, and it works fantastic. The price is great, and I've used Virtual Shield in the past when I was traveling up north. But long story short, I've actually had a great experience with Virtual Shield and decided to go with them too. And if you sign up with Virtual Shield and stick with them for a whole month, that helped me as a creator, and that works out great as always. So with Virtual Shield, I am happy with Virtual Shield. Their service is great too, and I haven't used another VPN service since. But if you go ahead and sign up for Virtual Shield, you'll sign up for a 1 month free, and from there, that also helps me as a creator as well. So next sponsor here on the list is Podbeam. Podbeam is my current hosting provider that I use to host my podcast. Podbeam is a great platform that I have to say I'm very, very happy with. I think the service for Podbeam is phenomenal. For a couple months back, they've announced live podcasting for podcasters. So you can also do a talk show up on the air, and you're not just limited to just recording. Now you can go ahead and record many episodes as you want, which I think that's the best thing about Podbeam. Podbeam does an excellent job. They've been around since the very beginning of podcasting, around 2006, and I am very happy with the service. I've been using Podbeam for I would say about over 6 months now, and I am going to continue moving forward with Podbeam. I think they're an excellent service. And then next up, final and last of the sponsorship is Blueberry. Blueberry, I use them for statistics, but not just statistics, but you can use them as a hosting provider as well to host your platform. They cost $12.99 a month. They are really good, and what's great about Blueberry is the if you use their premium services for Blueberry, you can connect it right through your WordPress. And I think WordPress is an excellent content management system, and you can still use Blueberry for most of pretty much most of your recording for your recording needs, and why not too. I think they are excellent as a company. Their email support is great. I haven't had any issues whatsoever too, and I definitely recommend Blueberry. And if you sign up for Blueberry, you can use the link down below to support me as a content creator, and it helps too as well too if you want to get that premium experience. So with that said, let's get on with the show, and I'll tell you my insights of Ryzen. Alrighty guys, so today we're gonna get on with talking about the Ryzen 7 3700X or 37X, I should say, and it's a great processor. And the processor, oh my god, it's, I have to say, much better than what I've used from the AMD FX I've used in the past, which was the AMD FX Unlock Black Edition that I've used in the past. Wonderful chipset. I think it was still good, but overall, this here is, it has blown me away, and that's what I've liked about Ryzen a lot. I mean, it does kick Intel's ass for sure. I really enjoy the processor, and the processor is just powerful. It's just amazing, and I'm very glad to see what AMD has done and stepped up, and to be such a kicking force. And Intel i9, you'd think, here's my thing with Intel comparison with Intel's i9. Though I don't have nothing against Intel, I started with Intel. I think Intel is still a great company though, but now with the leadership, with new leadership with Lisa Chu, Lisa Chu, that's running on AMD right now. This is by far excellent, and I don't know what's going on with the Intel camp, and what I've understand is that they've had like a security flaw, what I've understood, and with Intel. Now this here, with the processor, I mean, man, my goodness, this is incredible. The built with this is unbelievable. And I have to say, my last build was the AMD FX, like I mentioned before. But my goodness, you're talking about a really good processor, and that's what I liked about this is that if you're looking for performance, this is it right there too. I mean, the whole thing about what I can say about AMD Ryzen 7 3700 it's just unbelievable, and it just blows me away. And I think good thing about Ryzen 7, now the CPU on it is very powerful. Now if you're looking for gaming and for streaming, if you're a gamer yourself and you're a streaming enthusiast trying to make a streaming career on it, now I would say though, this is it right there. This is it. This is one bad boy. That here's one thing I'll say that you don't want to miss. Though I'm not gonna go and try to smash Intel to 1,000 pieces, which I don't want to, and I'd love to see other companies succeed and to compete by all means. But man, AMD has has done a really good job recently, and I have to say I really really salute what they're doing right now as far as performance wise. It is excellent. Now I will tell you, as a computer builder myself, one thing. Let me just get right on it right here is that if you're going to be building your computer for the first time, just wanted to let you know that if you're going to be doing any computer builds, that's one thing I would say is that when you pretty much put everything together and you have everything assembled, of course, you want to make sure that you update the BIOS up on the motherboard, which is very important. The motherboard brand of your choice, Gigabyte, MSI, Asus, whatever. Then that's one of the first things you want to do, because if you don't, otherwise, your performance will be sloppy, and then you're gonna have tons of issues right there. Not also that, make sure you update the OS, your current OS, whatever OS you're using, which is Windows or Linux, but preferably I use 10 because it is a very dominant OS for gaming, and it's been dominant OS for a long time for video gamers like myself. So yeah, I've enjoyed it, and I also, one of the games I have to say, when I played it, I didn't play like tons of high end performance except for Valorant and a little bit of Apex, here and there. Of course, I have to say I'm really terrible at it, but I'm getting better. But so let's get on with the nitty gritty details of Ryzen 7 3700. And now this one right here. Now for the specifications, it has the number of 8 CPU cores, max boost clock up to 4.4 gigahertz. Total L3 cache is 32 MB. Package is AM4. Thermal solution, which is a RAF Prism. Now, good. Let me just stop right here. I like that it just comes with a thermal paste added to it, and you don't really need to purchase a thermal paste, which, when the first time I read about computer building, like say a decade ago when I was a teenager, I would think that a thermal paste will come included, come separately with it too, and I figured I would have to purchase a thermal. But now with all these new CPUs right there, you don't have to purchase a thermal paste, which I thought it was always the case right here. Now with so many of these new CPUs, you don't have to have it, which is great. Now there are certain things that you have to have thermal paste only if it's necessary and needed for, but not really. So the beauty about the specifications here. So let me continue on. 16 numbers of 16 treads, which is sick and powerful, and also it is unlocked. So yeah, it is unlocked, and then the PCI Express version, which is 4.0 x16 defaults, is 65 watts, which is good. And then the base clock is 3.6 gigahertz, which is what I'm running here on the CPU currently. That's currently running on the CPU, and this is where I'm recording right now. And let's see, total L2 cache 4 MB, and then the CMOS. So that's the little battery that's included with pretty much all motherboards when you first purchase it. So it's nice. So if you're running into any issues, let's say like the time clock for your computer isn't saving whatever, or if you're having some issues, it's always good to pop out the CMOS and replace it right there. And overall, you got your basis right here. So I read the specifications on it. Now the system memory, let's read up on it right here. Which the system memory on this CPU, which it is 3200 MHz. Then the system memory type is DDR4. So before I get on to other things that I want to just mention, I just want to mention that yes, if you're going to go with memory, like you have to have DDR4 of RAM. You cannot have DDR3 or DDR2. It will not work. So you have to stick with something that's fresh and hardware that you're brand new hardware that's going to be compatible. That's just a fact. So there's always going to be money involved, but that's pretty much it too. So you're gonna have to face the reality that you're gonna have to spend a little bit more in order to get the best performance. And that's how I'm seeing it too. But again, this is where it's at with this CPU too. Overall, let me just give you my personal thoughts here. Right here. So we with this CPU, it is pretty much mostly for desktop processors. So going in over here, I like this the AMD CPU, and it has run really smoothly on this MSI motherboard. I think it's excellent. The performance is great. Now, I've never or haven't even encountered any problems with the CPU, which I have to say I'm very thankful that I haven't as of yet. I think it's very very fancy. Like I've said, like if you are a big gamer, like myself, then this is like I've said, this is the way to go, performance wise, and actually you can run so many programs all at once, so that is good too. Now, I've advisedly said that you might want to update everything before you start loading in games or things like that too, because if you don't update your drivers, your OS and whatsoever, then you're gonna have tons of hardware issues and won't run properly enough. So that's one thing you want to do very first thing too. But after you do all that, it's gonna run smooth as butter. Now, and here's how I will say this right here too. I have streamed it last night. Actually, last night, specifically last night, playing Spore on right from my Origins client. Now, it is fantastic. The game runs very smoothly on Ryzen, and looking at it right here too, I've had one of the this is not just coming from me. Not just from me. I know from everyone has said this as well. But since I'm just talking about it, I think it is one of the best builds I've ever done personally, and I have to say this is one of the best. This is one of the best deals I've ever came across. I think it is very very powerful, and to me, I don't think I'll ever look back onto an Intel processor. To me, that is just me right there too. I think how I see with the Intel market now, though it's still a big market. People are still buying it for gaming purposes and for mining purposes. There's so many things that there's so much Intel support that anybody can do, and which is still great. I mean, people can still buy Intel stuff for certain reasons right there too. I won't really call myself a fanboy from one processor or over the other, which I am not. Though like I've mentioned, I've used Intel pretty much in the past. I think Intel is great too, but when you hear big news like security flaws over on i9, you'll think that one of the things that'll come up to you is like it's going to run really good, right? But when I look at AMD, I think AMD, like I've said, it runs really good. I haven't had any personal bad experiences whatsoever too, but yeah, I think it's really cool. I've actually am very happy with it too. So one of the things I would say is like most of my installs, like the graphics card, and which is which is with MSI, by the way. With it has twin fans. The graphics card I have is 1650. Though the card is outdated, though I will admit there are better cards that has the triple fans. But since I've won the OC 1650 OC edition, to me I said, oh well, I can still stick with the OC edition and continue playing around with it too. Now, that's what I liked about this motherboard, which I haven't had any compatibility issues since this install, because I know it's pretty much common sense when you install the processor. It's pretty much all you have to do at this point is make sure that you install the type of graphics card you have, and make sure that it matches and keep that graphics card up to date as much as possible, which that's very much common sense. Anybody knows that too. So back with Ryzen 2. So for first time builders, I think you're gonna love this. I think for anyone that is building a computer for the first time, let's just say, and if you're looking to building a computer, I think this is a great processor. If you are a first timer, then you might want to go for the Ryzen 5 or the Ryzen 7. Now, the prices are different from both processors too. Now, one of the differences I will take with both of them, I would say, is that the Ryzen 5 is still going to run really well with pretty much basic games. Why not? And now, if you're not like a streamer, then you might want to just stick with the Ryzen 5 and stick with it too. Now, if you're a gamer, a streamer, and you do, if you're doing a lot right there, then I would go for the Ryzen 3700, or if you want to go further up or do some overclocking, then the Ryzen 7 3800 will be the best for you if you're going to do both. I will say, yeah, go ahead, and if you have the funds to spend it on, can go ahead right there too. I think both of them are amazing, 3700 and the 3800 too. So yeah, for me right here, here's how I would see it too. Now, I haven't done any overclocking because I know for me, on the other hand, I don't think there's just no need to, because in the past, I know if you were running like computers that wasn't compatible with pretty much programs that were running pretty much how should I put this, that weren't that the CPU wasn't able to run the software quickly, then there are reasons to overclock your system. Now, I have to say I haven't done any overclocking as of this, and for me, on the other hand, I don't think am going to do too much overclocking right there too, because to me, I hardly go inside the BIOS and do that. Now, for this build right here, I did have to go to the BIOS and keep the BIOS up to date. Now, that's one thing I did when I first built this computer, and one of the first thing when I've got help with my Discord community was you want to make sure that your BIOS is up to date, the OS is up to date, your graphics card is up to date, and that's one of the things I've got from many of my helps from all the people I've talked to too. So they were pretty good right here. And now for my computer building experiences. So let me go ahead and dive a little bit deeper to it too. Now, for computer builders like myself and any one of you listening, now for storage, if you're going to look for storage right here, now here's I will say with anyone that's looking for storage, like now the the NVMe SSD, which is like a little slot that you just stick right into your motherboard. Now, I didn't know too much about this when somebody told me about it, which I think it was great. Now, the hardware space changes a lot. I didn't know about the NVMe SSDs when I was told about it. and that's how long it's been. And I've always used regular HDDs for a very, very long time too. Now, for me, I was very impressed with the not the new HHD, excuse me, but the NVMe's super fast. When I load the Windows 10 operating system on it, it only took about 20 to 25 minutes compared to the HHD's 7200 RPM hard drives. Super fast. I was actually pretty impressed with what I've seen with this install. And I did watch a lot of videos, and of course I didn't use Microsoft's online account. It's better if you're going to install anything, make sure you stick with just a local account instead of online. They're just downright garbage, and it just doesn't load faster for you too. So stick with a local install and just don't go for any of Microsoft stuff. Like, to me, when I installed 10 for the first time, I have to say I was very impressed. And now I've actually used Windows 7 for a very long time until the end of its life cycle. And to me, when it comes to operating systems, like, OSs are so expensive. You wouldn't even imagine how anyone will be able to pay for these operating systems. And I think those operating systems are just terrible. Like, you pay the price for an operating system, it's like $117. Absolutely expensive. So anyways, so back with what I've want to get into. Now, I do like how the new boards come with the ME slots, which now the MSI board. Now the board I have here, which is a M570, it's called the MPG X M570 Gaming Plus. It's stunning. It's really fast for a motherboard. Now the fans, however, one of the things that took me off right here was the fans. The fans system of the fans, which it's located on the bottom, and so that got me pretty confused where I should have installed the fans. But overall, if you're pretty much, and I wouldn't say a novice, but if you know what you're doing when it comes to installing like the fans, the hard drives, anything like that too, then if you're pretty much like a computer builder expert per se, then you're good. But if you're starting off and if you're like just a novice, but then you may end up being pretty confused. I would say refer to your manual, make sure you're doing exactly what you're reading up on. So, and make sure that you do what you can to the best of your knowledge right there too. Now, so back with the SSDs. It is, like I've said, super fast right here. And I've never used it ever since I was recommended. Now, if you're going to be doing a lot of video gaming or a lot of installations, mind you, now 500 megabytes is okay if you're just doing using your computer for work. If you're gaming, that's installing a huge package, like a huge installation of games. Just mind you that it's best to have at least about 1 terabyte or 2 terabytes. So, just my recommendations: stick with something a little bit larger than a 500 gigabytes. Nowadays, for gamers like you and I, it's just not enough. And actually, that was actually my mistake, is not use my intuitions, and I should have had spend a little bit more money than I have to, and I would have done it too. So, and also that throughout that process, I had to go ahead and purchase a 72 MPR, a 72 MPR hard drive from Seagate very recently, and so I've had to install that right there so I can add more space for my video games, and I wanted to get the best of this machine. Pretty much the best out of this machine too. So I said, okay, I have to get a hard drive. There's just no way I'm going to be able to load all the games I want to play, things like that too. So for me, I've had one of the best experiences with this build, the processors, everything like that too. Now, that's one of the things, like when you're building for the first time, because I know I've actually encountered a blue screen throughout my time right there too. Because I would say that if you're going to install anything, make sure you have everything all the drivers installed properly before running any games, because otherwise you will get into some issues or failing drivers. So just saying, just do that before you go through any other installations. So if I had to give it a rating, and my rating, if it has to be a rating for this processor and for this fancy build, I would give it, for me personally, I would say a 9.5. To me, I think AMD has done a killer job with the new Ryzen 7. I don't think it's all that bad. Now, to me, I'm definitely going to be sticking around as a AMD, as a loyalist consumer on this too. Though I wouldn't mind jumping into a build for Intel, which probably one of these days I will. But the way they are going to right now, probably I would stay away for the meantime until things turns around with Intel. Because I will probably stick with an i7 over than an i9. But because the way so many computer sites did a benchmark comparison between the Ryzen 7 over the i9, the i9 was disappointing and underperformed over the Ryzen 7, and that was like really that's a huge difference between night and day. So to me, Intel is going to have to step up to the league and do that. So personally, I like it, and I like I've said before, if you're going to look into building your computer, and this is it right there. Good start for the year 2020 if you're looking for a brand new build. So the build is pricey. So this one here, the 3700, came around $289. So that was pretty much the price, including the rest of my parts. So that was like the most expensive build I've actually have done very recently. But yeah, with that said, here, if you like what you heard, make sure to subscribe, make sure to rate this podcast, and if you have friends that are computer builders yourself that are interested into looking into computer building, by all means, share this podcast. Let them know that, hey, there's a podcast for computer builders and technology enthusiasts right there too. And sharing it does work as well too. And also, if you rate me, that'll help the ratings a lot. So that'll be pretty awesome. All right, folks, I'm going to head out right there too. I hope you enjoy this audio commentary and my inside review of Ryzen 7 3700 processor, and review and my take on that too. So that first said, thank you so much. Have a great rest of the day. Bye bye.